Welcome back, folks, to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. On today's show, we're talking about the ArcLIGHT Summit coming up September 13th through 16th in Dallas, Texas. That's right, joined by the Nailed Convention as well. That's right. On today's show, we have Michelle Cruz, Laura van Zeyl, and Andrea Hartranft. Michelle works for Putterman, Shark, and Associates in Houston, Texas. Laura is the VP of Lighting for the Dallas Market Center. And Andrea is a principal with Hartranft Lighting Design with offices in Boston, D.C., and Charlotte. But before we get into this conversation, Greg, Eric, we got to talk about Satco. Go to satco.com. That's Satco.
Well, let's talk a little about who they are. We're not going to talk about a product specifically, but who they are as a company. So I go from one day I need the highest lumen par 38 and the 5000K. Satco's got it. And it's Energy Star rated. Satco's got it. And then a couple hours later, I need decorative fixtures from a company. They have 10 different fixtures from 5 different manufacturers. I send them all to Satco and I say, cross them over. 24 hours later, they have the cost, the price, the availability. Satco, man. All across the board.
Can't beat Satco. I think they have an enormous showroom as well at the Dallas Market Center. So you go to satco.com, that's satco.com. And of course, we're looking forward to seeing all the distributors at the Nailed Convention, September 13th through 16th. And before we kick it off, Laura, can you tell other people that aren't distributors where they can register for ArcLIGHT?
Yeah, so registration is open at archlightsummit.com/attend to go right to the registration page. It's complimentary to just attend the expo, docent tours, and hospitality. And if you want to attend any of our more than 20 CEU sessions, it's a flat rate of $50. But if you are attending the Nailed Convention, that all those CEUs are included in that registration.
All right. So, Greg, why don't you kick us off here? And we'll start talking about ArcLIGHT.
We will. All right. So first of all, I just want to say we are excited about the collaboration with Nailed. And to clarify, Nailed is really the 13th, 14th, and a little of the 15th. ArcLIGHT is the 15th and the 16th. So we say the 13th through the 16th because we feel it's one, but not everybody's going to be at all of that for ArcLIGHT. If you're going to ArcLIGHT only, 15 and 16. So join, get into it. It's going to be fun. Before we start asking a few questions, let's go right down the line and I'll name you to make sure what your role is in the ArcLIGHT Summit. So Laura, start with you.
Yeah, so I manage all of the lighting events for Dallas Market Center, and that includes Lightovation, which is already well established as the largest residential lighting show in North America, each January and June. And then now we launched last year the ArcLIGHT Summit, which is a commercial lighting event for the architectural design and specification communities.
Very good. Andrea, how about you?
I'm on the advisory board, so I advise.
That works. And then Michelle?
Same thing, on the advisory board.
All right. Well, let's go back. Michelle, how did you get on the advisory board? Why are you on this board?
So last year, I became involved with ArcLIGHT Summit when the WILD group that I'm in, we attended. We also had a booth, so WILD, Women in Lighting and Design. And I really enjoyed ArcLIGHT Summit. I thought it was a fabulous show. And I just happened to ask more about it. I asked Laura and Cindy, how do I get involved? And do you guys need any help? And they reached back out to me and said that, we actually need some people for the advisory board. And I was more than happy to help out. And so I am helping out with that this year.
Very good. And then Andrea, how about you?
I've been on since the beginning and, saw it as an opportunity to grow something different and new that, wasn't necessarily trying to compete with what was already out there, but to create a new something that, people would be able to benefit from a lighting manufacturer standpoint.
Sure. Where did the idea come from? I don't know who wants to answer that one, but where and why? You mentioned a little bit of why, but where did it all come from?
Yeah, given our leadership on the residential side of lighting, there was already about 30% of our 140 some exhibitors at Lightovation who cross over into the commercial lighting community. And locally in the Dallas area, kind of central region of the United States, it's kind of underserved in terms of events for that segment. I mean, there's some very strong, there's a very strong education on the East Coast, as a regional event for that area. But nothing really for central U.S. And it's just such a robust area for this discipline, as well as it's a hot area for building and development right now as well.
So, Andrea, from the advisory standpoint, what kind of things are you advising? What is your role specifically on that committee?
Well, in the beginning, it was, trying to craft this particular show to be different, so things that we did were to talk about maybe interactive opportunities so that people who came in actually could get hands-on products. We talked about maybe widening the topics that we talked about. So it isn't just lighting specific. There's talks, about everything, about inclusivity, diversity, being a female football player and how you can be, just super powerful. Art, the impact of art with some lighting thrown in, but there's a pretty broad, so the show really kind of expanded and went beyond the traditional lighting show boundaries.
Sure.
So that's what the initial involvement was, and it's kind of typical now to look for good speakers and research what they want to present and decide on how to craft a really appealing show.
Very good. And Michelle, anything to add to that?
So I was kind of pinged or tapped on the shoulder to work on market outreach. So I kind of took that in a couple different directions, as far as I've been really trying to work heavily with manufacturers to get them to display, which being my job, that I work with manufacturers. And so it made it kind of easy for me to reach out to them, tell them about ArcLIGHT Summit, and to get them to display. I've also been trying to work on getting just that market outreach for here in Houston, because it is based out of Dallas. Sometimes it can have a tendency to be, Dallas heavy with the visitors. So I'm really trying to, reach out to a lot of our Houston folks, reach out to the AIA here in Houston, IES, a lot of different other rep agencies, and just, my wild group that I have here in Houston, and letting them know what's going on and when ArcLIGHT is. And so that's kind of what I've been working on as far as market outreach.
And Laura, I know people can go on the website and find this, but can you give a rough idea of the agenda, or what kind of maybe you're not the right one to ask, but whoever can step in on a rough idea of the agenda for the ArcLIGHT show?
Yeah, there are about 12 CEU sessions on the first day. The expo is open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then throughout the day in 3 locations, there are CEU sessions happening throughout the day, and then about 8 sessions on the second day on the 16th. Andrea mentioned that we have a number of interactive sessions. We have a room dedicated an area that's pretty impressive in terms of its presentation for illustrating color rendition effects. And in those demonstrations, we did this last year and it was very successful. We're updating for this year. We had live models so that you could actually see the effects on skin tones, a range of skin tones. So those sessions, we have those happening several times on both days, and then also an interactive session on using luminance tools in that same area. Just some highlights and some of the programming. We have a panel with Architect Magazine with the editor-in-chief moderating of 3 leading Texas architects about what is it about Texas architecture that's directional right now. So that's very exciting. We have Lauren Dandridge and Nick Albert talking about allyship. So to Andrea's point that it's not just, lighting application, lighting related subject matter, although, um, we have sessions, covering how to read people's emotions. So things on that level as well. Jan Moyer is doing a session on landscape lighting, and we really couldn't have anybody better for that topic. So just, a range of sessions throughout the day. We are serving lunch for everybody on the first day, a snack on the second day, a happy hour from 5 to 7 p.m. Right there on the show floor that everyone can participate in, to kind of wind down after the first day of the show on the 15th. So a little something for everybody, and something, to enable people to interact with each other and network as well.
I think the TM30 this thing that's spectacular. I saw a smaller version at the IES conference a couple years ago, and if you're listening to this right now, we did an interview with Tony Esposito and Jason Livingston that's going to be going out before this show. But that is spectacular. That if you're in the lighting industry, that TM30 demonstration, especially with live models, with skin tones and all the different things you learn, that is something to see. To travel to see that is definitely worth just that alone, in my opinion, for you to go and even be able to. I know that Tony and Jason are very welcoming, Laura, with questions and interacting with it's not like there's someone on the stage. You actually get to talk to two of the smartest people in lighting that designed the actual TM30 display. I mean, you guys are kicking ass and taking names. Like that alone. Like I've never been to an ArcLIGHT Summit, but that alone, being able to interact and have a conversation and answer questions. Maybe you might have to line up for a minute or two, because other people want to talk to those guys. But that alone is something to see in lighting. And if anyone's listening to this, if you haven't, get down to ArcLIGHT. Go to arclightsummit.com/attend. I think I got it now. And just go see that and then get everything else as well. But I mean, I'm telling you, that's a spectacular demonstration. If it's anything like the one they did in the IES, and Tony and Jason assured me it's well kicked up from there, and that ArcLIGHT has invested a ton in it. So I think that's super important for especially lighting designers, actually. So there's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I actually said something to Laura, I think it was last week on our meeting, and asked about the display, if it was going to be as good, and she said it's going to be even better. But I took it last year, and it was by far my favorite class that I took. It truly was probably one of the best classes I took. And once you see the display and they kind of start doing the different things with lights, you really had that aha moment. Mm-hmm. And it really it drove it home, really the importance of, just all the color factors, gamut, fidelity, like everything in the TM30, it drove it home. And I think that is probably one of the worthwhile classes to take. It was amazing.
Now, Laura, maybe I'm going to ask you to start again on this. This is the second, and Andrea, you were involved too in doing the first one. What did you guys learn from the first one that you're taking in and applying towards the second ArcLIGHT Summit?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely got some constructive feedback with our first event. We came out with a lot more programming when we first started, which was great because people hadn't had the opportunity to have in-person CEUs, so they, gobbled them up. But it was difficult to, there were a lot. We had so many concurrent sessions, so many sessions happening at the same time. People wanted to spend more time on the show floor as well and see the exhibitors. So while we still have a very robust programming schedule with more than 20 CEUs, that's quite a bit dialed back from what we did at our first event. So also in how we're structuring some of the hospitality, again, to accommodate people being able to participate in it and avoiding conflicts with other events that, there are people that want to have events while the industry is in town. So some of the later hospitality events that are happening off site, our happy hour can kind of be a precursor into that instead of a hospitality event that's competing with those events.
Mhm.
So those are some of the things that we updated. We're also, serving more food and making that easier for people to, get everything in. They don't have to leave the show floor. They can have, lunch on the first day, street tacos on the second day, and just keep, checking things out.
And
There's-
how about Andrea? Did you have anything too on that?
I think Laura hit all of it. I think toning down the amount of sessions so that people can get to the sessions and still have time to be on the show floor was a very big deal. It's a really good decision.
Well, I think I'm going to ask my question to Andrea, and I'm going to hope that I ask it in a way that doesn't sound too uninformed. Okay, but I'm a dude. Okay, I go to lighting shows all the time. I don't think about being a man and going to a lighting show. I just go and I do my thing and meet up with Greg and eat street tacos or whatever it is that's available, and hopefully it's a good show. But I suppose that sometimes these things exist and these issues are out there because maybe people don't feel as it's not anybody's doing anything, but maybe they just don't feel so welcomed at some of these events. So for whatever reason, and the ArcLIGHT Summit seems to be really focused on women and minorities and these types of issues. Someone listening to this that's in those groups, why should they feel comfortable going to ArcLIGHT Summit, Andrea, rather than why is ArcLIGHT a better place, or why is that important? Just whatever you feel on that.
I may miss the mark with this, but I don't think that's what this is about.
Okay.
A lighting show is a lighting show, and no, it's not. But we get education so that we can go out in the world and be educated. If we provide sessions with ArcLIGHT Summit that help people to understand that everybody doesn't have the same experience in life, hopefully that translates to when they leave the session and how they treat people and the opportunities that they provide, whatever they're able to provide. So I think it's bigger than just feeling good about going to a lighting show. I'm not saying those issues don't exist anywhere. They exist everywhere. Anywhere that you don't have, anywhere, period, anywhere. I think knowing that there's an acknowledgement by this show with the provision of these kinds of sessions sends a good message. It sends a message that, there at least is an opportunity for a dialogue. But again, I think it's much bigger than that. I think it's acknowledging that within the world of business that we all have to survive in the world of humanity that we all spend time in from time to time, there's better ways to be. And even if you're of a generation or a whatever that it didn't used to be considered a problem, the reality is the problems were always there. And unless we understand them, we can't properly address them.
Michelle, do you
And
have
I got to
any
give
thought?
kudos to our, I'm sorry, I
Laura,
just
no,
want to
go
give
ahead,
some
Laura.
kudos to our advisory board, on the selection of some of the speakers that are addressing those topics to make sure that it is delivered in a way that is really constructive to help further the industry. And it's not, just a soapbox, for venting about things. It's really, wanting to make a difference and wanting to be, Kevin Coleman is a presenter who presented last year on, kind of microaggressions in the workplace. And he's so interactive and, it's almost playful in how he engages with the audience on that topic. So we're bringing him back again this year because it's a way to kind of address it, but in a way that it resonates with people instead of alienates people.
Michelle?
Yeah, and exactly what they've both said. And so we do have a couple of the CEU classes that are going on that are, touching on those subjects, your inclusivity and everything. But outside of that, we do have WILD, and we are a partner of ArcLIGHT Summit, and we do have a booth there. So of course, WILD stands for Women in Lighting and Design. And we love for all the ladies in the lighting industry to stop by, say hi. And WILD is basically a organization that is national And we are here to support women in all aspects of the lighting industry, whether you work for a manufacturer, you're a distributor, you're in the showroom, you're someone like me who works for a lighting agent, all facets of it. And we're there to support each other. It can be everything from just, going out and having drinks and happy hour to, we'll have a wreath making class or candle making, or, we talk about different subjects and topics within the lighting industry and are just overall there to support each other. And so we'll have a booth there. So stop by and see us and say hi.
Men are welcome too. Right. I want you to think it.
Yeah.
Men are mild, women are wild. Is that how it works? Nice. So, Michelle, back to you on the wild thing. How long has that been around? Have you been active in it for a number of years, or just new to it?
I'm newer to it. I've actually, when I moved to Houston, I actually heard a podcast that I was listening to, and Kelly, who's the national chair, she's in New York City. She was talking with somebody, and I don't remember what the podcast was, but she kept mentioning wild and was explaining a little bit about it, and I was like, oh man, cool! I bet Houston's got that. Houston's huge. So I got home, checked it out. They didn't have a chapter, but just looking on their website, it said something about starting your own. So I reached out to her and moved forward and started my own chapter. We're still in the process of growing it and, getting the word out that we're here, we exist, and we'd love to have you kind of thing. But that's kind of how I got involved. And then, getting involved with the wild then led to the Arclight Summit. And so it's kind of come full circle, and they're both just really great. And so I'm happy to be a part of them. And that's kind of how I started it. I've been with it now for about 2 years.
Nice. And again, I don't know who to address this one to, so whoever feels comfortable taking it. But there are a number of trade shows out there, as we've alluded to. There's Education, there's Light Fair, there's other regional events and things. But what is the key differentiator in what Arclight is doing? Is there a key, or is it just kind of taking pieces of it and tweaking it some? Do you guys feel like there's something that stands out from the rest?
I mean, one thing that's truly unique is the venue. We are also a home to 1 million square feet of permanent lighting showrooms.
Yeah.
And while those aren't necessarily all open and participating in this event because they're predominantly residential, there are some key ones that are, such as Sonneman is hosting a relaxation station in their 8,000 square foot showroom. You mentioned Satco sponsoring this. They also, as part of the NAILD convention, are hosting a dinner in their showroom. So there will be opportunities to explore some of these spaces, as well as, just the trade show exhibits as part of the expo.
No, I think that makes a big difference, and especially I haven't been there, but I've heard about it, and where a convention is at definitely can make a difference in your experience and what you get out of it.
And I think what I really like about the Arclight Summit is the fact that it's geared towards specifiers, where a lot of other lighting shows that you go to, it's really geared more towards the folks in the lighting industry. And so those are all great to go to and everything, but I really like the fact that this is geared specifically for your designers, your architects, engineers, anybody who's specifying lighting. I just think that that's a unique factor. And so it gives, for instance, an opportunity for somebody like myself to bring my clients there who are specifiers, and show them around to different products. And so I actually have about 5 or 6 that I have coming with me, to show them my line. So I think that it's a great opportunity for them. And I like the fact that it's geared towards that group.
I think the word specifier is unique, because I don't know if there is a definition of it, because I think I'm a specifier as a lighting distributor.
Me too.
People come to me and I say, here's what I'm specifying for you. Buy it.
Exactly.
So it's a nice broad term that can cover a lot of different fields, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do that, specifiers.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say that I totally agree with Laura that the venue is a massive strategical advantage for Arclight. It really is, because it's, you go to a trade show, people, the vendors have to spend a fortune to set up. They do these enormous booths, or maybe they lower it down and there's a lot of pressure and it's only for a couple days and then they're out, or maybe they just do a 10 by 10 booth and they don't really have, the same, Sacco's got a permanent showroom there. On top of that, I like the idea of free food. I think that's interesting. I've never been to a show where you didn't pay for food and drinks and stuff like that. For people to get out and be welcomed and to be brought in and to meet other people, food and drink really facilitates people meeting and talking. Like if you're listening to this and you're running a show and you're saying, I'm too cheap to give people free food, or I'm too cheap to buy them a beer, give your head a shake. That's the best part. That's where people are interacting. That's when they're mixing together. I know Wild's going to have a big party on one of the nights, and these types of things are, maybe they're not the content, but they are the lubricant to what makes people begin to dialogue with one another, Greg. And the Nailed has that naturally because it's a little bit smaller. But for a larger show like ArcLIGHT, I think it's a massive strategic advantage. I really do. Back to you,
That's
Greg.
good work. Yeah. So, kind of looking ahead now. So you guys, this is year 2. I know you're focused right now on getting this done. But when do you start planning for year 3? And have you already? And is it going to be same time frame? Where are we at?
Yeah, so we already have our 2023 dates, September 19th and 20th next year. And we have our hotel block already at the Renaissance Dallas within walking distance, where we've got our main block this year as well. So already making plans. I know there are things that we want to build upon. Like one thing that we're doing, we did the first event, but we're doing kind of in a grander scale this time, as engaging with students to participate in the event, as well as watching our sessions remotely if they aren't able to attend in person. We have a lighting concierge at Dallas Market Center who is overseeing all of our student initiatives, Arturo Malloy. And so we're going to be able to build upon that for next year as well. I think that'll be an area of growth.
Yeah, well, that's great. I guess, just kind of seeing it. Mike, if you don't have anything else, you guys have any final thoughts on ArcLIGHT? Anything you want?
I have a couple questions. I have a couple.
Cool.
I have a couple questions here. Hang on a second. So,
Yeah.
When you guys are planning so far ahead, I'm jealous because Greg and I always seem to be pulling everything off at the last minute. So if you're Nailed people, we still want you to register, and we called you, but yes, please still register for the show. But the other thing is that, why do you think that Nailed and ArcLIGHT, like we approached you, we said, hey, what do you think about us having our convention? And you guys like the idea. Why is Nailed a fit with ArcLIGHT, in your opinion, Laura? Why did you guys accept that?
Well, I mean, just given that there were already some commonalities with some of the vendors who are involved with both, that really, helped to prompt interest in exploring how we could work together. I think that your membership is also a potential, and we've discussed this as well, to attend Lightovation. Those for whom that's relevant as well, given some of the commonalities in vendors and exhibitors there also.
The other final thought that occurred to me while Michelle was talking is this idea of bringing customers to lighting events. I think that is such a wonderful idea, Michelle, to bring, even if they just come for a couple hours, or if they come in for a day and you show them around in a setting like the Dallas Market Center. And if you're listening to this right now and you have customers that are of the value that it's worth bringing them to a show, inviting them, or paying for their way, or whatever it is, however that works, I think that's such a powerful way to build relationships, Michelle, and I really, really think that's a great idea. So I just wanted to say that as well, because as it occurred to me, I don't have customers that purchase large quantities enough to make that worthwhile for me. I'm more in the industrial commercial space, but I don't think a lot of people know that that's available. Is there something special, Laura, they have to do with ArcLIGHT in order to be able to bring some of their customers down?
I mean, we would be able to, register those individuals through our registration, since it's complimentary to attend. The expo portion, that part's actually quite easy. Even for, we're an open daily design center throughout the year, as well as hosting these specific lighting events. So sometimes even our trade visitors are bringing, consumer customers to look at something before they make a decision. So we can make those kind of arrangements.
What a great resource. What a great resource. Greg, you have any final thoughts, or should we go around the table here for last thoughts?
I think around the table.
Andrea.
Hi. I think we've covered a lot. You guys are great. I just say, I enjoyed the venue last year. I think the sessions are good. I give it a try.
Give it a try. Michelle.
Just to touch on kind of the conversation that we had just a couple minutes ago about, bringing your specifiers there. And the reason why is because they've also got the CEUs, and a lot of times these specifiers have billable hours. So if they can go someplace on a day trip, take a course, knock out a CEU, see some cool things down on the floor, interact with their manufacturers and people like myself, their lighting agent, that's a lot of things all in one day that are beneficial. They can get that CEU, which is very enticing to them. And so I think that that's a great opportunity for them. All in all, I think ArcLIGHT is just a great opportunity. I think this has the potential to be something very big, and I'm excited to see where this goes as the years go by. So please check it out and come see us.
Laura.
Yeah, awesome. We're very excited to be hosting the second ArcLIGHT Summit, September 15th and 16th, with the NAILD convention preceding that. And a great way to close this out, I think, is also to mention that Get a Grip on Lighting will be broadcasting live from the show floor on the 15th.
How can we forget about Michael and Greg at Get a Grip on Lighting? You know what? Though? I'd like to say thank you to our sponsor for this show, who has a wonderful showroom down at the Dallas Market Center, and that's Satco. Greg, Eric, go to satco.com.
That's right. Excited to see it. I've heard about it. Now we'll actually get to see it, and you guys should too. You still can. Sign up. Go see it live. Check out their showroom. And we are doing a tour of their distribution factory. The NAILD members are. So the Satco distribution in Dallas, you can go check it out. If you go.
And we're going to check out Zeyl as well. I know Alan doesn't mind if we bring up Zeyl. Zeylight's giving us a factory tour. That's right. So, folks, if you're a distributor, you go to naild.org/register. If you're a designer or anybody else, you go to arclightsummit.com/attend. We thank Satco, and we also thank Laura van Zeyl, Andrea Hartranft, and Michelle Cruz from the advisory board of ArcLIGHT. We're going to close it out right now, folks, wherever you are. We don't have listeners. We only have colleagues that don't do podcasts. That's right. So if you made it to the end with me here, I speak on behalf of Greg and everybody at NAILD and the advisory board. We love you guys. See you. Bye for now.